What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. I thought Bears-Packers that second half was some of the most riveting TV I can remember. That was elite. That was awesome. We have watched some bad football this year. That was not it. I thought there was so much to that game. One, when it looked like the Packers were about to step on their neck early in the game, they're up 14-3. Caleb has like under 40 yards passing. You're just thinking, are the Packers going to roll these guys? Are the Bears kind of sneaky frauds? Then they come out in the second half. It's like, no, we're not sneaky frauds. We're the Chicago freaking Bears led by Ben Johnson. Caleb started scrambling around, making some sweet plays. There's just some like guile and heart to this franchise that simply didn't exist. You know, the way people, like the Packers have been good forever. And there's no team that can go from one of the greatest players of all time to an even better player than him in Rodgers to just Jordan Love, who is like third in the odds right now for MVP. Actually, I think he's fourth, but is still very much alive. Like, you just don't do that. I've seen it twice happen in my life. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jeff Garcia, Favre, Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. They're always well coached. They're always well built. You know, I didn't bet the game because I'm like, listen, do I think the Packers should win? I do. But I'm not betting against this Bears team. And then you watch that first half, like, maybe they are who I thought they would be. It's like, no. Team has heart. Team has like a physical nature. You know, they have a lot of teams, right? Look, I guess the Lions would be an outlier team that legitimately has two backs. Most good teams, like I'm relying on Derrick Henry. I'm relying on Christian McCaffrey. I'm relying on James Cook, and rightfully so. This is my blue chipper, Saquon Barkley. I'm going to ride this guy like Secretariat. Now with Manunjai, you got him and Swift. You combine it, like today, I think they combined for almost 150, 120 yards. And anytime that you can run the ball, and this goes to Saturday night with Indiana, that creates a toughness because you practice that. And even if you go off to scout team, eventually you go ones-on-ones in practice. And the physicality of a running game adds to the physicality of a team and adds to the toughness of a team. And to go on the road, like one thing that is not really arguable, Packers team speed on defense is elite. And their physicality, I don't know if all 11 guys you would call like a high-end hitter, but it felt like 9 of the 11 guys will have no hesitation to lower their shoulder and blast you. I mean, their physicality, their team speed, obviously Micah, anytime you have a guy like Myles Garrett or Micah who is so fast in the open field, they feel even that much. Von Miller was like this when he played for Denver. And for Green Bay to be up in the second half, 21-14, and the Bears to get the ball with a little less than like 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter and basically go on an 18-minute or an 8-minute 17-play drive and score a touchdown, I was like, listen, whether they win or lose this game, this team is no joke. Do I think they'll win the Super Bowl? Probably not, but like this is a legitimate playoff team. And I would argue this about the Bears. I told this to Colin. All the pressure was on the Packers. At Lambeau Field, you make this big trade for Micah Parsons. People like your boy has tickets on them to go to the Super Bowl. Like they were a Super Bowl caliber team. And you're 8-3-1. You have one left. Like, you got to win this game. To me, the pressure pie chart for that game was 100% Green Bay, 0 Chicago. Even if Chicago would have ended up losing by a couple touchdowns, like whatever, we have the Browns coming up, then we get them at home. Season's not over by any means. But the way they lost was like, I mean, Caleb literally hit the play that he fucked up on, and he was probably like a step late because tight end was open, and he just didn't pull the trigger right away. It is a tough play. I would also imagine he's pretty gassed. Like, part of it is also the energy that goes into these games, factoring in the cold weather. You know, he's probably not as spry as he realizes that he's not. Like, he doesn't even realize physically what percentage he's at. It's like a video game when a guy starts at 100 and then he's down to like 50% and he's just not moving as quick. Like, I don't even think Caleb probably quite realized, because he could make that throw in his sleep, even if he's late, with the power of his arm, overthrow it. But I think sometimes the factoring in of a 12-degree game. When's the last time? I know he mentioned to Brady, like, I feel comfortable playing in these games. I grew up in this area. Well, yeah, you've been at USC the last couple of years, though. So it's like, last year in Chicago, but you haven't played in that many of these frigid games. And I would also say this about the Midwest: it's colder than DC. So like, it doesn't get any colder than that little stretch of Kansas City, Chicago, Green Bay. Like, that's as cold as we got. Cleveland today looked frigid. Buffalo. I mean, these places are colder than everywhere else in the country. And it just does affect you. So the more you play, like, Love's pretty comfortable in it. He's lived in Green Bay for how many years now? As a backup, just standing on the sideline forever, then as the starter now for the last, 3 years. Like, you live in Green Bay 6 or 7 years. I don't want to say you ever get used to it, but like, you somewhat become accustomed, like you're more comfortable in frigid temperatures. Even LaFleur today, there is no amount of money you could have paid me, one, to attend that game. I would have lasted 5 minutes. But if I was a coach in that game, to not have a beanie on. And you look at the Bears coaches, like, they looked a little colder, right? I mean, I've seen Hightower standing there next to Ben Johnson. Like, I respect Ben Johnson. He's got a hat on. LaFleur, just the no cap on his head, to me, is kind of like a muscle flex of a player. Even Micah Parsons, it was the coldest game he'd ever played in. Makes sense, right? Penn State's not that cold. It's cold. It ain't that. And last time I checked, like, Penn State ain't playing home games in December. Playing in Dallas, you're definitely not playing in games like that. I lived in Philly. It doesn't get that cold. Dallas is indoors, right? So I just, that game was pretty incredible. Caleb run around, made a bunch of plays. Jordan Love, I thought, was awesome. One major wild card is Christian Watson now. 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. From bombs to slants to the house, he gives them an element that is just, losing Kraft sucks, but getting him back has kind of balanced the scales a little bit. And listen, some guys are just badasses. Some guys are just in a huge game. I'd want this guy on my side, and Josh Jacobs is one of those guys. For all the shit Mike Mayock's tenure takes, when he was the GM of the Raiders with Gruden, he loved Josh Jacobs, and he drafted him in the first round. And Josh Jacobs is just a big-time player. He's such a good, receiver out of the backfield. The play he made on that third down today, where they run him, it's like the sweep outside, and he's just corralled. I mean, there's 4 guys. I mean, Barry Sanders could have been in that position. You're like, it's just not going to go your way on this run. It was not your fault. Bad play call against that defense. And what does he do? He kind of stops, breaks through a tackle, breaks through another, and all of a sudden it's like a 15-yard game. Like, that's just all talent. It's like, well, yeah, from Alabama. Like, he's got some ability, first rounder. And he was big time today. And that was a game, and so were the other 2 running backs for the Bears. That was awesome. That was, I think, my favorite NFL game so far this season. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic. Maybe I'm overreacting because it just happened today, but I really enjoyed it. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The holidays are here, and the sports schedule is packed tighter than Santa's gift bag. Week 15 football games, bowl games, NBA and college hoops, hockey, and a whole lot more. You know that new customers can sign up and bet $5 on any game, and if it wins, you'll win $150 in bonus bets on top of your winning? How do you beat that? That's holiday magic, baby. Not sure where to place your first bet? Hard Rock Bet just launched a brand new For You page, making it easy to find all your favorite teams, players, and leagues all in one place. Plus, the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan. More states coming near you. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily. Download the Hard Rock Bet app now and make your first deposit. Speaking of a game that wasn't as good, was the Steelers and the Ravens. It wasn't bad, but when stories come out, if you do like what I do for a living, a lot of my business is reacting to stories. So you do it long enough, you go, well, what's the point of this story? And when Schefter over the weekend tweets, about the status of Tomlin's contract. That like he's essentially going into a lame duck year because it has a team option for 2027, and the writing's on the wall that they're probably not going to pick that up. So it's like they're not going to fire him, but essentially putting out the bat signal he's available to be traded for. That's the way I took it. Could be wrong, but just trying to read between the lines. I went, whoa, this is kind of crazy. Who knows? Maybe Tomlin's putting that out. Someone is. Like I think that is coming from some angle of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know where I stood. I love the Ravens in this game. I said even based on last game, Lamar clearly looks like 50% of his normal self, but Steeler team's leaking oil. It's a problem. Well, I was wrong. Rodgers was really good today. DK Metcalf. Rodgers said after the game in the post-game interview, he went out of his way to like hammer home. Like DK this week was unreal in practice. His focus, he was dialed as anyone on our team has been all season long. And the clip has gone viral of DK playing gunner. That was a kind of draw the line in the sand game for the whole franchise. But I do think with the Tomlin thing, you know, Rodgers pushed back after, like, you guys need to shut up. It's like, well, I didn't make up this story. Like the Tomlin thing, it's like, well, you guys are 6-6, kind of circling the drain. You're a big underdog on the road in Baltimore. Stories are breaking about your coach being in a lame duck situation. They're not going to fire him, but they probably trade him. Yeah, I mean, I like the Ravens. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I think Lamar looks terrible. And it's not because he's just a bad player. Clearly he's injured. And not nearly. And I mean, if his speed in this peak was a 10 out of 10, what do you think his speed is right now? Like a 5? I mean, Caleb is dramatically faster running around making plays. It's not even close. There's not really much playmaking to Lamar. There was a run. Who was calling? Was Romo calling that game? Where he breaks a run, and I think it was Romo. That game feels like 17 hours ago at 10:30 at night. And he goes, God, it's rare you see Lamar just get tackled in the open field like that. It's like, well, yeah, because this is not the version of Lamar. So whatever they're playing with, and their defense clearly isn't as good. I mean, the Steelers were cooking them. And even on the one play, I think it was 20-16. It was like, okay, the Ravens are going to get back into this game. Just a pretty basic like play action rollout, dump off to Jalen Warren. He walks in the end zone like 40 yards. What the fuck's going on here, Baltimore? So congrats to the Steelers. Rallying the troop. That's a massive win. Now, the next couple weeks, it's by no means over. They still play each other again. You know, the Ravens next week play the Bengals. Then they got the Patriots. You know, next week, the Steelers playing Monday Night Football, which is actually a sneaky, interesting game now. They play the Dolphins, and then they go on a short week to Detroit. So right now, the Steelers are in first place, obviously, but this thing could get weird. Now, I also have no trust in the Ravens. Like, do I think the Ravens are just going to go to Cincinnati and win? I think that will be pretty difficult. So that was an outcome today that I didn't see coming. And at one point in time, I mean, the Steelers were up like 20-9. You can tell me about all you want about the yards, but I mean, the Steelers are in full control. Now, you know, do I agree with the overturned touchdown call unlikely? Like, I do think we've gotten to a point in basketball and football that, like, we know what a catch is when we see it. Like, that's a catch. That's a touchdown. No different than in basketball when two guys are touching the ball. In the history of the sport, we always knew who it went off on. And now it's like slow play, replay. It actually went off. His the extension of his cuticles, this piece of skin that's hanging off. It's like, what are we doing? But it is what it is, and didn't count. And then John Harbaugh, you know, when he kicked the field goal, what was the score? 22-29. I can't even. Trying to think off the top of my head now. Let me pull this up because he kicked a field goal late in the game, and it was like, John, what are you doing? It's 27-29, so they're down 8. He's on the 18-yard line, and it's 4th and 8. Now, their offense had been pretty shitty. It was hard to trust Lamar to just pull a play out of his ass like over the last couple of years. To me, if Lamar is playing like MVP status, I think you go for it. You don't even hesitate. I can imagine him kind of weighing it a little bit, but 4th and 8 with 7 minutes to go, you're at the 18-yard line. I don't know. I mean, I think you go for it there, but he kicks the field goal to make it a 5-point game, which is a buddy text me. You just don't see that anymore because the analytics, the front office, the ownership's like, go for it, which I'm cool with now too. Like, let's go for it. And he rolls out. And remember, Harbaugh was at the forefront of the movement. So when you see him roll out the kicker, you're like, Harbaugh kind of going full puss here? Like, yeah, he did. And then obviously that was the final score of the game, 27-22. The Bills were legitimately in major trouble. It was 28-25 Cincinnati, and the Bengals were driving. And it felt like Joe Burrow, who just missed the majority of the season, just shows back up. Is like, yeah, I'm just one of the best players in the league. And in a snow game, I'm going to dominate the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to throw. At one point in time, it's like, is this guy going to throw for 5 touchdowns? He's driving them right down the field. You're like, is this how like this Josh Allen, Sean McDermott era is going to end? With Burrow doing it to him in Buffalo? Then Burrow throws the pass. Dude goes the other way, flips like that. Then the very next pass, he throws another pick, and Buffalo's season is legitimately saved. Buffalo wasn't just in major trouble. They felt dead. It felt like he was putting a knife in them and stabbing them over and over again until those 2 plays. And what's crazy is I think Burrow, just like Josh, my takeaway from that game is like, these are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league right now. I'm not talking big picture. I'm not talking over the last 5 years. I'm just saying today in this league, like those 2 guys, the way I just watched, and I've watched football and all these fucking games all season long, like I do every year, doesn't get any better than that. And I'd argue Burrow's like, Jesus, this guy looks good. He missed all this time. He just comes back and he's this good with his turf toe. How's this even possible? T. Higgins looks like Calvin Johnson out there. T. Higgins, I'm watching it because I was kind of critical. Like, you're going to invest that much in 2 wide receivers? And then you're watching T. Higgins just moss dudes, make plays. I mean, just make the one-handed touchdown catch at the end of the game, which almost felt like Cincinnati was going to get back in the game. This guy's a beast. And yeah, but those 2 plays, and listen, you can play a great game as a quarterback, but if you throw 2 picks and one of them's a pick 6, like, in a weird way, you kind of lose the game for your team, even though you clearly were the reason your team was winning. But that's the way football goes. It's why coaches, it's why coordinators, it's why players talk about turnovers, turnover margin. We've been hearing it since the beginning of the sport. Turnovers. We got to win the turnover. We cannot turn the ball over. You definitely can't turn the ball over in the second half on the road against a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that's what they did, and it bit them directly in the ass with taking out a chunk of skin. And for a split second, you start doing the math. You're like, did Cincinnati run the table here? Like, I think they could. And then all of a sudden, those 2 passes happen, and you're like, this thing's kind of over. And you're like, well, they're not going to run the table. And the Bills are alive. And that's how fast it happens. Now, big picture with the Bills, like I said with the Texans, you can't win the Super Bowl when your offense is just that unreliable. I would say the same thing with the Bills. You cannot win the Super Bowl when your defense is that unreliable. I don't care if your quarterback on any given game can score 5 or 6 touchdowns in every way possible and just turn into a superhuman player. It's not possible to win games in the playoffs with your defense looking like that. And their defense just isn't good. And I get it, Higgins and Chase, even though I don't even know what Chase's final numbers were today, but their offense with those 2 guys is better than most. But I think we've seen enough of this team to know that they're just not a reliable unit. I mean, Burrow threw for 270 yards, 4 touchdowns. Higgins had 6 for 90. Gesicki had 6 for 80. They actually did a pretty good job on Jamar. He only had 5 for 44. But I just, you watch this unit and they're not talented enough. And it's kind of sad if you're a Bills fan. Now, I think what you hope is just get us in the dance. It's going to be hard for us to win the division. We're going to need the Patriots to blow a game here, and then we're going to have to take them down when we play them. But, like, why can't Josh be superhuman for a couple games? The answer is he can't. But your margin for error in these games, even when he's superhuman, is like you need the other quarterback to throw a pick with a guy right in front of his face, which that just doesn't happen that often. Now, in these snowy games, clearly the ball was kind of slipping out of Burrow's hands, and he tried to push it. Don't blame him. I mean, obviously, if he could do it over, he just would have ate it and just hit the ground. But it's easy to say that after the dude's running around, running the other way. Burrow tried to tackle him and he went right through it. But that game, like, listen, I enjoy like the Bears Packers where every yard matters, every first down is contested. Don't get me wrong. Cincinnati Buffalo was extremely entertaining. And I will watch two great quarterbacks any day of the week and twice on Sundays. But like the style of football I prefer is, what we saw in the Bears Packers game, the physicality, even Texans Chiefs. You tell me it's terrible offense, but I like watching people get crushed. I like football for its physicality and its defensive prowess, and that was definitely not taking place in the Bills Bengal game.